My fiancé owes $50,000 in child support for two kids I didn't know about, and now there's a third kid involved. He's avoiding the situation, and I'm left paying the bills and wondering if I can continue in this relationship. I called off the wedding, but I'm still unsure of what's next. Sam still has his own place. I did offer for him to move back home, but he turned it down. He's really enjoying having his own bachelor setup, and honestly, I get it. I was his age once, and having your own space is a great feeling. He's got a part-time job he really enjoys, which he started during his second semester this year. I also have a feeling he might be seeing someone. I'm not certain, but I know my son, and there's definitely a different energy about him. Liz, as always, is doing amazing. She's soaking up her summer before heading into her senior year. She's made the honor roll every single year of high school, including this one, and I couldn't be prouder. Both of my kids are hardworking, kind, and just genuinely good people. I know I'm bragging a bit here, but I can't help it. I love them beyond words and tend to go on and on about them whenever they come up. I'm sure other dads out there can relate. Once again, a heartfelt thank you to everyone who's followed along with my story. Your thoughtful, and even the not-so-thoughtful, advice has meant a lot. I've read so many of your stories in the comments too, and I'm truly sorry that some of you didn't have the kind of support system I've been lucky enough to give my kids. Please know that I appreciate every one of you for opening up and sharing your experiences. If I could give each of you a big dad hug, I absolutely would. That's all I've got for now. If anything major comes up, I'll be sure to update, though I think things have finally settled down for good. Fingers crossed I didn't just jinx that, haha. Thanks again to all of you wonderful Redditors for caring about me and my kids. I hope this update was worth the wait, and I'm wishing you all nothing but the best. Soon enough, a notice comes through HR, he's going to be garnished 25% of his after-tax pay because of the child support judgment. Reddit, he just shut down after that, stonewalls any conversation regarding the issue at all. I took up more of the bills, but now we're both struggling. We have had to move into a smaller, crappier apartment using my credit alone because his has a big fat judgment on it. He had to refinance his almost paid off car because he couldn't afford the high payments. There's some kind of hearing coming up. I don't know what it's about because he flatly refuses to tell me. I think maybe it's to adjust the payments based on his current income, which has grown due a promotion. Either way, he hasn't bought plane tickets. Or rather, hasn't asked me for the money because he can't afford them. I think he's not going. It'll be an automatic judgment against him. Here's the thing, he could request a DNA test for the girl. He hasn't, though he's told me he's certain he's not the father. He could hire an attorney, I've offered to front the cost, but he has 1,000 excuses. He'd have to get one in his other state, they'd gouge him because he wasn't there, he doesn't have the time, excuse. The hearing is in 3 weeks. I don't know what's going on and he's so passive about it that I'm worried. So, I opened up an official-looking notice he received a few months back, but never bothered to open. There's a third child involved now, a boy, the brother of the girl. Maybe the upcoming hearing is actually about him? I honestly don't know anymore. A few weeks ago, I asked my fiancé some questions, and instead of answering, he just left for a long walk. I'm not someone who constantly pushes or nags, and bringing up this mess is uncomfortable for me, too. But I'm starting to feel like if I have to give him an ultimatum, we'll be crossing a line we can't come back from. And truthfully, I'm almost there. Here's where things stand, I love my fiancé. But he's $50,000 in debt for the first 2 kids, and that debt isn't going anywhere anytime soon. He refuses to face it, just buries his head in the sand and pretends it doesn't exist. Maybe he's struggling with depression? It's hard to say. He acts like everything is fine. And now with this possible third child, things could get even worse. If I stay, I'll never be able to buy a home with him. Every major financial move will fall on my shoulders and my credit alone. Our incomes will never be combined. It feels like there's no future stability in sight. He's walked away from 3 children. I don't know all the details about his relationships with their mothers, except that they were messy and filled with dishonesty. One child is definitely biologically his. The other 2 are uncertain, but legally, they might as well be his. And he's completely disconnected. Besides the child support deductions from his paycheck, he's shown 0 interest. As far as I know, he's never once reached out to check on them. Last month, I had a pregnancy scare. Turned out I was pregnant but miscarried. No need for condolences. I never told him. It was over before I had the chance. But the first thought that hit me was, if we had this child, they'd be 4th in line for any kind of support, if things fell apart. What's to say he wouldn't leave us, too? And we do plan on having kids someday. My heart still loves him. But my mind is telling me that staying might mean sacrificing my financial future. So, Reddit, what would you do in my shoes? Update. Unfortunately, someone cross-posted my original update from another subreddit, which led to the post being locked and eventually removed. To summarize, my fiancé has been avoiding child support obligations and court notices, racking up around $50,000 in arrears for children conceived long before our relationship began. After the second surprise child came to light, he completely shut down and refused to talk about any of it. Recently, I went through some unopened mail and found a notice suggesting there's a third child. Here's a quick breakdown. Child 1, a 3-year-old boy. My fiancé relinquished parental rights in favor of the child's grandparents due to the mother's mental health challenges. He still owes $20,000 in back child support. Child 2, a 12-year-old girl. He owes around $30,000 in active child support. I don't know much about her or the situation. He refuses to talk about it. Child 3, the brother of the 12-year-old girl. His birth date was on the documents I found, but my fiancé took the letter before I could get more details. I truly appreciate all the comments, private messages, and thoughtful advice from my last post. The people who pointed out that I was also ignoring red flags helped me take a hard look at the situation. The legal and professional insights, especially those who explained it's practically impossible for him to be completely blindsided by all 3 kids, really opened my eyes. So tonight, I confronted him. I showed him the letter I had opened regarding the third child. Thankfully, he didn't make a fuss about me opening his mail, probably because I was clearly not in the mood for games. His reaction? He looked stunned and insisted there's no way he could be the father of the third child. He hadn't seen the notice before. He's been ignoring all mail related to child support for months. According to him, the mother of the 12-year-old had already won a judgment for her, and now, she's allegedly trying to pursue more by claiming this other child is his as well. I told him I thought that was BS and I wanted the truth now, that I'd been looking through his old state's law and the courts can't have ruled him the father of the 12-year-old without evidence. He pulled his usual Stonewall stuff, said it didn't matter, because there was a judgment against him, he was screwed for life. He actually started to cry. I kept on him. Finally he told me the truth. He and his ex had been in a turbulent relationship since their teenage years. Although she was known for being dramatic, he stood by her during her pregnancy. But just before the baby was born, she told him he wasn't the father. Despite that, his pride and stubbornness led him to still sign the birth certificate. Soon after, at her request, he left and they cut off contact. As for a DNA test, he never got one. It was costly, and he was emotionally devastated at the time. By the time he finished telling me all of this, he was in tears. I broke down too. I told him, with everything going on, I couldn't move forward with the wedding. That's when everything flipped. He went from heartbroken to furious in seconds. He demanded to know how I could do this to him, insisting I had known about the child support from the start and that he had always been upfront. Except, he hadn't. At most, he implied his name was added to a birth certificate without his consent, not exactly full disclosure. He ranted about how his ex was determined to ruin his life again and how the court had already ruled against him. He claimed it was hopeless, saying the system always favors the mother, and that I was siding with her by not supporting him. Honestly, I wish I could say I gave him a strong, confident response. But the truth is, my mind blanks in moments like that. I did try to explain how he'd shut me out, left me in the dark about the upcoming hearing, and how avoiding this could land him in jail, but I fumbled the words. It didn't come out the way I'd rehearsed in my head. Then, out of nowhere, he asked if all this was about a male coworker I gave a ride home months ago. Accused me of having an affair. Seriously? No. That's when I took off the engagement ring, his grandmother's, and handed it back. I told him he needed to leave tonight, stay elsewhere, and give me space. The wedding was off. I needed time to reevaluate our relationship. He kept repeating the same question, shocked that I was ending things over what he saw as minor issues, $50,000 in debt, 3 unexpected kids, and his refusal to talk about it. Then he threw in one last insult, calling me shallow, accusing me of caring more about money than love. It went on, but I'm already sick of reliving this. He does swear there is no possibility of any more surprise children. Period. He packed a duffel full of clothes and left, having convinced himself that I was either cheating on him or shallow and money hungry. Last night, I spent time rereading everyone's comments, just needing the reassurance that I made the right call, and looking through rental listings. The apartment lease is in my name only thanks to the judgments on his credit. Yeah. I've become someone who lies to landlords because of my fiancé's financial mess. Technically, he might still have some tenant rights, but for now, he's gone from the apartment. About an hour ago, I sent him a long text. Johnny, before we can build a life together, I need to see you take responsibility like an adult. Go to the hearing. I'll help with a lawyer, with a plane ticket, whatever it takes. But you need to treat me like a real partner. If you do that, maybe we can rebuild. I still love you. He hasn't replied. I'm hoping he'll cool down and see reason. The truth is, he has a lot of good in him, more than I could show in my original post. If he wanted visitation, I believe he'd be a great father. And I'm willing to put in the work if he is. But right now, he's stuck in this hopeless mindset like his life is over, and it's keeping him frozen in place. That fear is real and paralyzing. I know most of you think I should just walk away for good, and maybe you're right. But I'm holding out a sliver of hope that this space we're taking will be the wake-up call he needs. If he wants this relationship, he has to prove it by showing up to that hearing and taking accountability. That means getting on a payment plan and sticking with it. Then, therapy. A lot of therapy. If he does all that, then maybe we can talk about the future. I still might decide to leave, but at least he'll have cleaned up part of the mess. Maybe I'm just hoping too hard. So, that's where things are. I wish I'd had something more powerful to say during the argument, but this isn't a movie. The ball's in his court now. We'll see if he chooses to step up. Has anyone gone through something like this? I know I blindsided him mostly because I've been way too passive about all this for far too long. Any advice on how to help someone help themselves? Update. Still no response to my message. I called the landlord and asked for the locks to be changed. He's not on the lease, and while it might not be entirely legal, someone pointed out and I agree that he's unlikely to take anything to court. To clarify, since the responses have been very passionate, we are essentially done. I gave back his grandmother's ring and asked for space. If he steps up and handles his responsibilities without excuses or backsliding, then I'd consider the possibility of getting back together. But that doesn't mean marriage is back on the table anytime soon. Seriously, I'm not delusional, and I'm certainly not planning to have a baby with him, despite what one commenter suggested. But given that it's now morning and I still haven't heard from him, it may all be moot. Update. I honestly don't even know where to begin. After I called off the wedding and gave back his grandmother's ring, he packed a duffel bag with some clothes and walked out. That was about a month ago. Since then, I haven't heard a single word from him. I changed the locks on the apartment, but he hasn't come by for any of his stuff. He blocked me on Facebook, and when I finally gave in and tried to call him about a week later, I found out he had changed his number too. From what I've heard, he's been staying at his best bro's place, thanks to bro's girlfriend letting him crash there. I've gone through the full emotional roller coaster: denial, anger, grief, acceptance. I finally came to terms with the fact that he wasn't coming back. For a while, I wondered if maybe he'd gone back to his home state to stay with one of his kids' mothers, but then I saw his car parked at work. Yes, I drove by once or twice. Okay, maybe 3 times. His child support hearing was supposed to be earlier this week. Tonight, I finally worked up the nerve to go to Best Bro's place to confront him. I figured, if nothing else, he could at least come get his stuff. I brought along a stack of his unopened child support letters and a photo of his oldest son that he left behind. It's the only picture he has of any of his 3 kids, and he just left it. Best Bro answered the door, and the conversation that followed was honestly one of the most awkward ones I've ever had. I don't remember every word, but I asked if my ex-fiancé was home. Best Bro said no, but something felt off. He was acting really evasive. So I asked if he knew whether my ex had even gone to the hearing. That's when things got weird. Best Bro looked completely confused. What hearing? He asked. I explained the child support hearing, the one about his 3 kids. And Best Bro just looked at me like I was speaking another language. Then, out of nowhere, he asked if I was seeing someone else besides my ex. I was floored. I told him no, absolutely not. I gave him a very brief explanation. I kicked my ex out because he was dodging his responsibilities and ignoring the child support issue, and he had a hearing earlier this week. My voice started rising. I'd been holding this in for way too long, and that's when Best Bro's girlfriend came out to see what was going on. She's the one who told me, her exact words, "Your man lost his damn mind." The weekend after I kicked him out, he went out to a bar with Best Bro for some good old girl bashing. He met up with some 22-year-old bartender, and hooked up. Reddit, he married her last weekend. Drove up to Reno, we were a couple hours from the Nevada border, and did the whole Chapel of Love thing. Best Bro and his girlfriend were the witnesses. They hadn't really supported his decision, but he had them convinced I was a cheating whore, and he was so heartbroken. Plus, Best Bro's girlfriend implied later that he'd overstayed his welcome by crashing at their house for most of a month. I was stunned and furious and honestly on the verge of tears because it felt like Best Bro still didn't believe I hadn't cheated. To prove I was telling the truth, I went out to my car, grabbed the court documents, and handed them to him, telling him to pass them on to my ex. I doubt they'll even bother opening them, but they clearly show they're from the child support division in his old state, so hopefully that's enough proof. I don't even know why I care what they think. Neither of them reached out to me during any of this. I thought I was their friend, too. But they took his side without question. Now I'm back home, surrounded by all his stuff, and trying to untangle this mess of emotions. It honestly feels like I just watched someone blow past every flashing warning sign and willingly drive off a cliff. I had offered to help him get a lawyer, help with his plane ticket for the hearing. But instead of facing the situation like an adult, he ran off and married some woman he'd known for what? 2.5 weeks, max? Maybe 3 if I'm being generous. I'm not in the mood to check dates. I should probably feel bad for her, his wife now, what the actual hell, for what she's gotten herself into. But honestly? She's either seriously naive or just as much of a mess as he is. Who marries someone they've just met? And before anyone says it, no, I really don't think he was cheating before this. He's a homebody. There were never any mysterious absences or missing time in our relationship. Best bro said they met at the bar that night, and I believe that. So, instead of attending his child support hearing, he was off playing house with his brand new wife. Probably doing whatever honeymooners do. I really hope they're happy together. Just kidding. Of course I don't. Now I guess I'll be heading to the legal advice subreddit to figure out what I can legally do with his things. Since he missed the hearing, there might be a contempt of court warrant out for him, so I doubt he's in any position to sue me if I toss his stuff. Still, I want to protect myself and handle it right. I know I'm supposed to have a question here, so here it is. What the hell was he thinking? Out of every path he could have taken, he chose the absolute worst one. And what was she thinking? I loved, maybe still love, him, but let's be real, he's not exactly conventionally attractive. He had no money, a crappy job, and nowhere to live. And finally, what's wrong with me, that I feel heartbroken watching him ruin his life in a whole new way?